Rosie the rabbit lived in Whispering Woods. Every single morning, as the world began to wake, Rosie hopped gracefully along the dew-covered trails. Her mission was always the same: to gather the finest wild berries the forest had to offer. By the time the sun reached its peak at noon, her small wicker basket would clatter with the delightful sound of fresh, rolling fruit. One Tuesday, the routine changed forever. Rosie pushed through a particularly dense thicket and suddenly gasped in disbelief. Standing before her was a massive ancient bush, its branches heavy with berries so vibrant and red they looked like polished rubies. Overwhelmed by the sight, she began plucking them frantically. Her paws moved in a blurred rhythm of excitement, filling her basket higher than ever before. Just then, Sammy the squirrel scampered down from a nearby oak tree. His tail twitched with curiosity as he looked at the glowing harvest. He pointed a small paw at the basket and asked, "Rosie, could I please have just one?" But Rosie felt a sudden wave of possessiveness. She pulled the basket behind her back and shook her head firmly. "These are all mine," she replied, turning her back on her friend. A few moments later, the slow, rhythmic sound of rustling leaves announced the arrival of Tina the turtle. She crawled toward the bush with great effort, her eyes widening at the sight of the overflowing basket. Tina let out a soft, hopeful sigh, her gaze lingering on the ruby-red fruit. Rosie didn't even bother to look up this time. Her heart had grown as heavy as her basket. Without a single word of kindness, she simply walked deeper into the thick brush, desperate to hide her prize from anyone else who might ask to share. By the time the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of bruised purple, Rosie sat alone inside her hollow log. She was surrounded by a literal mountain of berries, more than she could ever eat in a week. There was no one to talk to, no one to laugh with, and no one to share the beauty of the day. She looked at the wide, empty space beside her and felt a pang of regret. The berries no longer looked like rubies. They looked like a burden. She stood up, grabbed the heavy handle with a new sense of purpose, and stepped back out into the cooling forest air, determined to fix what she had broken. She found Sammy resting near his oak tree and Tina still by the stream. Without saying a word, Rosie tipped her heavy basket, letting the red berries roll like a crimson wave onto the soft green moss between them. Sammy let out a joyful chirp and Tina's face broke into a wide, beautiful smile. As they sat together under the emerging stars, the forest seemed to glow brighter than it had all day. The berries tasted sweeter, juicier, and more delicious than they ever had before because they were seasoned with friendship. Sharing had turned her rubies into true treasure.